And Liverpool's king to the top are champions of Europe once again.
So, welcome to another episode of Dreams and Songs to Sing podcast. I've said it before, and I just want to say it again. Thanks a million for a lot of the lads that are giving us feedback on this, whether it's YouTube or now we have a Facebook page, Dreams and Songs to Sing podcast. And we just started this because we're like the rest of you, we're just bored in the middle of a lockdown pandemic, and we just wanted something to do. And a lot of lads are saying, more people that I don't even know now are giving us feedback saying, you know, I listen to it when I go for a walk and all that. So that's good. All's good. And we're just going to try and do as long as we can, make hay while the COVID is shining. So I'm going to introduce my lineup for today. Stewie Curran is back, and Stewie, take this in the spirit in which it's intended, but you're the Lucas Leiva of this show.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Well, I'm very happy with that.
You came in with a bit of we didn't know what we were getting, and it was clear from the first few minutes you just clearly you're surrounded by big names, and you clearly just weren't good enough. But you put your head down, you got stuck in, and now I can't imagine the show without you. So how do you feel to be the Lucas Leiva of Dreams and Songs to Sing podcast?
To be honest, I've been the Lucas Leiva all my life in anything I've ever done.
Oh, I've been never in the hair department, judging by your grooming skills.
It's the one thing, and I think the COVID has it sharpened my hairdressing skills, because I've given myself 3 so far, and they've all been perfect. Absolutely perfect. So look, I'm gonna knock everything on the head and just go into barbering when this is over, and that's it for me.
Because you see, I look like a man who's in lockdown. Like I'm in stage 2 of Castaway, but you've never looked better.
No, I think it's been good for me. Long may the coronavirus continue, I say, without any deaths, of course. But all the positives that we can take out of it, I'll take them.
I like to always spring a random question on you at the start of this, because you're just such a quick-minded man. So I'll give you this question, right? And it's been on my mind all day. If you can only eat one meal for the rest of your life, and that meal is a cereal, what cereal would you eat for the rest of your life? So you can only eat cereal for the rest of your days. So before you committed suicide by week 3, what was the cereal what would be your go-to cereal?
It's got to be Weetabix. It's the Lucas Leiva of cereal. It's not glamorous. It's not glamorous, but it gets the job done. And look, it's 3 weeks. I need a job done. It's gonna be Weetabix. You know, I'd say if I was to go like honey, loops, or not sugar puffs. They're honey puffs now, because sugar's a bad word. I'd be dead within 4 days, I would say.
You'd be dead,
because I'd overdose.
Yeah. And where do you stand on cold Weetabix with cold milk? Fan?
Oh, I'm a big fan. I would say I'm 70% cold, 40% hot. Am my maths right there?
No, I'm not. But the sentiment, I get the sentiment. And making his debut is a man of the same name, Kevin Curran. Absolute pleasure to meet you, Kev. And I'm not going to grill you for 20 minutes about, what was your first time in Anfield and who's your favorite all-time player. I'm just simply going to ask you one question, and I think I can figure out what type of bloke you are and what type of Liverpool fan you are by your answer. So
I'm under pressure now already.
No pressure. Just take your time. It's not Weetabix related. So if you were making an all-time Liverpool 11 of the worst players to represent Liverpool in the Premiership era, quite simply, would El Hadji Diouf be in that team?
Oh, he'd be the captain.
Oh, there we go. Welcome to the show is what I say. That takes a big man to admit when he's wrong, and Chris Harold is wrong. All right, so we're talking transfers today, which is a bit weird because by the looks of things, no one's going to be able to sign a player for the next 4 years, but we're going to give it a go. The rumour mill still seems to be in full flow, so why not talk? So, Stu, I'm going to start with you. A team that finishes with 97 points, they win the European Cup, they win the World Club Championship, and they're 25 points clear of this season. Does this team actually need fresh blood, or does it need any surgery, or is it fine just the way it is?
I wouldn't say it needs major surgery. Probably, you would probably say we need some backup. Definitely left back. I would like a left back there as extra cover for Robbo when he's injured, because we do lose an awful lot. Thank God he very rarely misses a game. Most times if he misses a game, he's just being rested. But you notice the difference in the team when he's out.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a like for like replacement, but there's probably a couple of options around that could fill in capably for him if he's out. As far as the starting 11 goes, I don't like who comes into that starting 11. It's like a finely tuned machine.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to upset that apple cart unless they're dreamland. It's someone like Mbappe, something like that. But as far as bringing people in realistically, I think it's just got to be cover for me. And I would say you need cover. A new backup goalkeeper after some of the things we've seen this season from Adrian.
I agree. And Kev, it's always exciting when a new player arrives at the best of times. But it seems like between Michael Edwards in the background and Klopp, we don't really sign bad players anymore. I'll say his name for the last time on this podcast, and then we'll say it again for the next one. There's no El Hadji Juffs anymore. We only seem to sign players that either improve the team incredibly, or even better, they don't really make the team and we sell them out to Bournemouth for twice the value.
I'm still holding out for Naby Keita. Stewie will have a thing or two to say about that, but I reckon he's going to come good next season, next year, I suppose. He will. He's been destroyed by his international team manager. He destroyed him at the start of the last season.
Yeah.
So they do. And I also think they're pulling out a masterclass coming soon with Timo Werner. You're already hearing stuff in the press. I think it's coming out of the Mirror saying that they're not going to be paying top dollar for him and the rest. That's just Liverpool laying the cards, kind of keeping them close to their chest. I believe James Pearce is saying today as well that they're definitely going for him. Like, you just have to see what happens this summer money-wise. They're not going to be paying €60 million for a fourth choice out of the front three, but they do want their man. I believe Klopp loves him as well. So I think that's the one name that keeps on going round and round. It's been there for about 2 years at this stage.
Yeah.
But I'd say, him. I think, as Stewie was saying, and you were saying, finely tuned machine. But at times this season, we can't give out really. But we need more off the bench than Origi, who's a legend in all ways. But he had a season of his life last season. But it hasn't happened for him this year. How many goals he got this year? Is it 4 maybe?
Been around, yeah.
Yeah,
he has. Origi has scored. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pulling this off the top of my head, but he has scored one crucial. No, I tell you what he did. He scored in the derby. He scored 2 great goals in the derby. He scored definitely one great goal.
Yeah. And I think first game of the season against Norwich, he definitely got one. It was a header, but he just hasn't hit the ground running this season. Unfortunately, he's a legend, great player, but I think there can be some tuning done up top there. All right.
All right, well, figuratively speaking, we'll get stuck into Divock a little bit later, but we'll start off at the back with the goalkeeper. Now, the second choice goalkeeper is something that you don't really think about a lot, but I remember when Alisson got injured on the first game of the season against Norwich, a really kind of innocuous injury, and when the news broke that he wasn't going to be back till October, I genuinely thought, because there was no room for error last season, we got really lucky with injuries last season, and we got 97 points, and we still didn't win the league. So when the goalkeeper went down, and we were saying he's not going to be back for about 8 weeks, I really thought I thought we weren't going to win the league in that moment. I thought it's just too big of a hole to be missing in your team. And Adrian comes in, and we literally win every single league game, including the Super Cup. And you're kind of feeling we kind of got away with it there. And then he comes back in there a couple of months ago, and quite frankly, Stewie, I think if Alisson is in that team, we're not going to let Atletico Madrid out. So, I mean, do we really? Is that something to look at? Because Alisson's missed. He got a red card. Remember, against Brighton early in the season, he's missed a lot of games through injury. Is that something that Liverpool need to look at, or is it just that's just the way it is? You've got to, the beggars can't be choosers when it comes to second choice keepers.
Yeah, I get where you're going with the beggars can't be choosers, and it's a difficult one to kind of to get yourself a solid backup goalkeeper. I'll be honest, like at the start of the season when we signed him, I was happy enough having Adrian in. Now, I obviously, I would just see he had one fantastic season at West Ham, and then they got Fabianski in. Adrian kind of went off the boil, and they were happy to let him go. And you're thinking then, is there a reason why West Ham are happy to let him go? But initially when we signed him, I was happy enough with that as a backup goalkeeper. But then, as you said, it's the first game of the season. That was 32 minutes into it or whatever it was. It was definitely 10 minutes before half time at least. And I remember, as you know, like we've got a WhatsApp group with just all Liverpool fans, and some of us in that, I'll hold my hands up, I'm probably one of the most overreactive people in that. When that happened, when Alisson went down, like it was literally like a bomb had gone off.
It looked like a bad one as well, didn't it?
It did. Yeah. You kind of knew it was going to be a bad one, but I mean, it was the same type of feeling you had when you look like, because as you said, there was no margin for error at all previous season, and you're thinking that's us fucked within 30 minutes, and then it comes out then 3 days later that it's 8 games.
Yeah,
and a huge black cloud hung over us, but we got through it. We won them all. There was a couple of hickey moments, you might say, that the 2-1 against Southampton where we're cruising, absolutely cruising, and our esteemed colleague Anthony Poyne described it as Adrian arrives with a big dollop of West Ham and does that.
Oh, nice.
As you know, you do not want the big dollop of West Ham near anything.
No,
and but we got away with it, and then Alisson comes back, and you think, right, happy days, we're cruising again. And Alisson gets injured again, and we've got the Atletico game, as you said. And for me, like it kind of developed over the season where you'd seen enough of Adrian in kind of cup games, the FA Cup game. I almost forgot about that.
He was in nets for the Everton League game as well. He was in nets for the Everton League game. That was the 5-2.
The 5-2. You're right.
And that was a mad game as well from him.
That was insane. Yeah. And then you've got, as I said, you've got the Chelsea game. Like for me, we're out of the FA Cup.
But between the three of us, though, can we think of a name? Because you've got, I always say his name wrong. Was it Caoimhín Kelleher, who to me just looks, I mean, most goalkeepers don't really, he just looks too young, and he doesn't even look like a goalkeeper. He looks a bit gangly, and he hasn't built himself up. What should we do essentially then? Do you think we just got to give Adrian the benefit of the doubt? He had a rough night against Atletico, and just hope that Alisson doesn't miss as many games? Or what do you think, Kev? Do you think is there a name that comes to your mind, or we think that might be, we might be able to get him and actually put some proper pressure on Alisson?
No, Alisson is world's number one keeper, so no one's going to put pressure on him. You're not going to get a second lad to that that's going to put pressure on him. Adrian is what he is. He's a solid backup. I reckon they've just been very lucky this season with injuries to Alisson. Very unlucky, I should say. Like, what are the chances, And then we're into the second knockout round of the Champions League. That's when it's beyond Adrian. Sorry, he shouldn't. That's not his level, and he cost us that game 100%. Same with the FA Cup. I agree with Chewy, but yourself, this summer is going to be a mental summer. Start next season is going to be mental. You know how Klopp likes to run things. I can't see him rocking the boat there, trying to get in a new keeper, trying to shake things up that way. Adrian knows how we play now. He is what he is. He's a decent, good backup keeper. Yeah, and hopefully, if Alisson has another season like this season, misses that amount of games, next season you start to look around and go, what's going on here? Yeah. It was his back that kept him out recently, wasn't it? It was a back injury recently.
That's right,
It was the calf originally, and then they had the red card as well. So he's had a bad run. But I'd say, look, I can't see Adrian being replaced because of just the circumstances.
Why don't we just sign Oblak?
There you go.
Well, listen. I've sent several emails to Klopp. I presume his email address is Jurgen Klopp at liverpool@gmail.com, and literally not one replies. So all we can do is wait. All right, lads. Left back. Andy Robertson for me is. I mean, I genuinely have never seen this. I mean, Sammy Hupia, we bought him from he kind of came from nowhere and went on to be a legend. But when you consider that Andy Robertson got relegated with Hull, we signed him for 8 million, and about 3 months into his Liverpool career, it's looking like he might be a squad player at best. I really can't think off the top of my head of too many left backs that are better in world football. So we know he's the number one choice for left back unless his form falls off a cliff. But in terms of he does need a rest because his game has so much energy in it, and we can't just keep putting James Milner, a right-sided midfielder, at left back. So, is there any names that comes to mind? Is there what do you think we can do there with that one, Stewie? Because he can't play every game, although we wish he could. What do we do for cover there with Robbo?
Yeah, as you say, he can't play every game, despite the fact that he nearly has played every single game, and it's very rare he's out injured. I think he had one slight back strain last season, but any other game he missed maybe 3 games most. Absolutely blessed with him. As you said, he came in for 8 million. I think we effectively sold. I think it was almost like we'd swapped Kevin Stewart for him, because I think Hull bought Kevin Stewart for 8.5 million. So we might have done a swap deal and got 500 grand, probably spent on a party, night out for the lads. But there's, as you said, there's not many better than him. In fact, I don't think there is any better than him. For me, he's the best left back in the world, which is incredible from where he came from. Where do you go? You're kind of looking for, if you're looking for a backup, you don't want to be spending big money on it. You probably have to look around kind of mid to lower end of the Premier League. I'd heard it mentioned last week that there was an option of looking at Dwight McNeil from Burnley, which is an interesting choice, I suppose. He's more a creative left-sided midfielder for Burnley. But if you're playing for Burnley, you're gonna have to do a fair share of defensive work anyway, especially under Sean Dyche.
Here's one from left field.
Go for it.
Klopp, but I can't see it happening. But your man Yasser Larouci, I know he's only a young lad, 19. Right. But Klopp played him a lot last season in pre-season, and he got done in by some big oaf of a fella.
Yeah, I remember that.
From League 2 or something. Remember, he did something to him, but he was he was the left back that Klopp was playing constantly. So I don't know whether he's going to throw him in, because you have your man Nico Williams on the right back.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm not sorry to cut across here, but I'm not. I wasn't. Left side was the one where, only simply because we haven't seen enough of Larouci, but we've seen enough of Williams this season for me to kind of be confident enough that we don't really need to be going out looking for backup on the right side. Yeah, but
they tried to buy a lad from England last year. Bournemouth took him. Do you remember him? He was a centre back and a left sided. That was a definite attempt to buy a cover. It's like a 20-year-old, 21-year-old. Bournemouth bought him, but then Bournemouth haven't played him. I don't know the lad's name, but they're looking for young lads like that.
I've always feel a little bit sorry for Milner, and sorry for a lad who earns 120 grand a week playing for Liverpool. But I always I don't think he gets enough appreciation. The fact that he played a whole season there, a really important season as well, that got us back into the Champions League. And listen, there's no one I can think of that's like Robbo. The only player that I've seen recently who's really struck me as in that league is the young lad Davis at Bayern Munich. But I mean, he's tied down to a tasty contract. But I mean, realistically, we can't keep playing Milner there. I mean, whether Milner's even here next year, it's another thing. But we're going to move on from that, because this is a tasty one. Obviously, it's all about who plays with Van Dijk in the middle. We know this, in the middle of the fence. And Joe Gomez, I love him to bits, and I think he could be there for years to come. But we know he gets some bad injuries, and he gets really unlucky injuries as well, because I think he did his cruciate. He got a broken leg last year against Burnley. And it looks like this could be the year where Koulibaly finally does leave Napoli. So Kev, what do you think? Should Liverpool just make a real statement of intent? Lovren looks like his days are numbered. Matip has kind of talked about he doesn't fancy being third or fourth choice. I think we got the best out of Matip anyway. Should Liverpool just make a real statement that the European champions, they're so far clear in the league, should they just go for it and put Koulibaly and Van Dijk together?
Well, this is the thing, you see, because last summer when we signed no one, we were told this summer was going to be the big year, and Klopp even said it. And the man normally says nothing about signings. He says we're holding off, and he says the next summer we'll make some big sign. He literally said that. But then the nature of what's going on around us now, you don't know what way they're going to go. Just because if there was no break with coronavirus, and if there was everything was as normal, I would have thought Liverpool would be spending 100, 150 million on a few players in the summer. But the way you're seeing things now, you're saying they're not even going to be spending 50 million on Timo Werner, so it's hard to tell. I love Matip. Those dainty legs on him, just going around like a giraffe. But he's a good player. And before he did his back in, was it against Napoli? He did his back in or his shoulder, going up for the header, last kick of the game. The man was on fire. But on fire.
Let me rephrase that though, because if Koulibaly comes in for huge money and a huge salary, Joe Gomez all of a sudden, you're telling him then, look, you're not the main man here. We don't believe in you for the next 3 or 4 years, like it seemed like we did, and you're potentially then upsetting that apple cart. So, as tempting as it is to have on paper Koulibaly next to Van Dijk with Alisson behind them and Trent to the right, and that just sounds like I don't want to say what's going on in my pants right now. Just the thought of that, but I can
see it.
I'll tell you, but. Kev, what do you think? Is it worth going for it then in that respect? Then you're saying obviously Matip and Lovren, it's good night, but you're saying the Gomez, you're not. We don't.
I love Gomez. I think Gomez is the best English defender in the Premier League. I don't take the Harry Maguire stuff. They call Harry Maguire a ball playing defender.
Yeah.
Come on, he's not in the same league. Gomez is incredible.
Yeah.
How old is he? Is he 23?
He's still really young. He's been around for so long.
Lad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an incredible player. I love him. Now, I have to say the pace of him, the power of him, the pass he can pick out. See, I don't know enough about Koulibaly. To me, anytime I've seen him, he's been brilliant. But that's always kind of with his back to the wall kind of stuff.
Well, Salah's done it a couple of times.
He's a last-ditch tackle.
Yeah, we remember the goal when we to go through last season with Salah. Got him just basically and turned him inside out, and he was very, very slow on the turn.
Yeah.
And
so if I said to you now, Stu, 100 million, yay or nay, Koulibaly coming in, and everything that comes with that.
I would say nay. I'd rather use that 100 million for different areas.
Yeah.
Nay. Yeah. I'd like if you're gonna blow 50 of it on Timo Werner, I'd be happy enough with that, and then you can use whatever you've got left to kind of strengthen our backup. But no, but as Kev said, no one knows really what's going to happen with the coronavirus. The fact that Klopp knows Lovren, like we all know Lovren, but he knows Lovren and he knows Matip,
and his conspiracy theories.
Be tempted to keep hold of them, and his conspiracy theories as well.
Anti-vax.
They might keep Lovren for the final year of his contract and just use him break glass in case of emergency, the biggest emergency. Don't break that glass if it's not it's not a big emergency. Would be my.
All right. Well, that's the back line.
I reckon Klopp has. I reckon. Yeah, but I reckon Klopp has a young German defender in his mind somewhere. I guarantee you, there's to be another lad coming over for like 15, 20 million. Lovren is just a disaster.
It's not as worrying as it was before though, because Brendan Rodgers, he got it right. Not enough though. I mean, you think of that first window. Well, the second window he had where he brought in Coutinho and Sturridge for a steal, but there was far too many misses. You think of Luis Alberto, Aspas, Ali Sissoko, Victor Moses, Mario Balotelli, Markovic. I mean, now we're in a situation where if Klopp says I'm bringing in Koulibaly for 120 million, you're thinking, okay. And if he says, no, I'm going to stick with what I've got, you're thinking, well, he's done this before. So, okay, for me, if Klopp hasn't kind of earned trust at this point in his judgment, and Edwards, to be fair, in the background, then, he's never going to do it because he's basically got it once wrong. He got it wrong once, and it was Karius.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would trust the two boys implicitly when it comes to transfers, because the record speaks for itself easily.
All right.
And sure, the defense itself was the best defense again in the league before we stopped, wasn't it? I think it was equal goals conceded with Sheffield United, I think it was. You know what I mean? You can't go wrong. And I think the reason there weren't more goals not conceded, or less goals conceded, is because obviously we've talked about Alisson wasn't in the net.
Mm-hmm.
So the
big dollop of West Ham.
The dollop. All right, midfield. We're going into midfield. It's obvious that it looks like Shaqiri's going to move on. Lallana's contract is up. So there's two gone, two attacking players. There's been, I don't want to talk too much about the possibility of Coutinho returning or Sterling returning, because it's just not going to happen, really, is it? But James Maddison is a player that I really have always liked. Every time I watch him, I think he's fantastic at free kicks and whipping in corners. I think he looks more promising than what Lallana did when we bought Lallana. So with those two players, Shaqiri and Lallana look like they're definitely gone. Where would you look to replace them? Who would you look to replace them with? Stewie.
Well, again, it's just to go back to the point of the kind of uncertainty. I'm not so sure Lallana and Shaqiri might go. There's talk that Lallana might be getting kept on again for an extra year. They just offering him a 1-year contract, and then you're kind of looking at Leicester was probably his most likely destination. Will their transfer business be completely hindered by this as well now?
Mm-hmm.
So, Lallana, if Leicester were to sign Lallana, I'm sure he'd be on pretty big wages. He might command a decent signing.
Well, let's say the transfers do get back to normal and those two are gone. Who would you be looking to bring in who's not going to, break the bank and because I thought Shaqiri was a really good signing, but I could never see him getting the kind of game time that he would have wanted. So who would you bring in that would be kind of that ilk? Look, we're not. I don't think he's really been mentioned with us before, and I don't think we'd get him. But I'm a big fan of Grealish. I know it's like, it sounds like kind of stereotypical, and it's like just the first name a lot of people pick out that happen. But I love the way he plays football, and it's something different that we don't have. He's got that kind of spark, like something that Shaqiri would give you if he wasn't injured the whole time. Grealish has kind of been playing for a struggling team though. His whole, like Villa have, they've been, they were in a championship side and he was captain then, and they look like they could get relegated this year. So do you reckon Grealish, if he doesn't go to us, he's probably going to go to Spurs or Man United? Do you reckon he can kind of make that leap into the, to not look out of place, or do you think he's just kind of a diamond in the rough at Villa?
Oh, we love shopping in the relegation pawn shop. We've got all the good stuff there. That's where we've got all the good stuff. Robertson, Wijnaldum, It's
like the TK Maxx. You just have to root around a bit.
Yeah.
You'll find a nice Lacoste polo there buried between a scarf with feathers on it.
I use those exact same words in the email to Klopp, and again, I cannot imagine why he hasn't emailed me back. But Kev, what do you think of the possibility of Grealish? Do you think because he's English as well, he's going to come for extra? They usually add an extra 20 million on because you're English. So
and just for the haircut alone, I'd say is another 5 million on top of that.
Oof, it's
what I'd say would be the way they work. For me, everyone knows Curtis Jones is going to come in, so he's going to take someone's place, and everyone's forgetting. I'm even forgetting about the lad. It's only because you see him on these things that the club do when they're doing their yoga sessions on whatever. Takumi Minamino, he's there. He's going to be there, and he's going to be, knocking about the squad. So I reckon he's in there. And then another signing I think people need to talk about, and it hasn't happened yet, I'm surprised, is Wijnaldum. He's out of contract soon enough. Yeah. So they need to tie him down. Yeah. So there for me are the three midfielder kind of around there. We'll talk about up front in a while. But Curtis Jones, Minamino and Wijnaldum will be
let's talk about those lads, because Elliott looks so promising, but then again so did Joe Cole. But what do you think? I can see Elliott going on loan. That looks like the most obvious thing there. He's just of his age. But Curtis Jones has got a big year ahead of him, and Minamino, I think we expected too much. I think we expected him just to continue where he left off. So between the two of these lads, what do you think of Minamino, Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott? Do you think we have the replacement already there, or what do you think?
I think further up the pitch is where the replacement will come from. I think the midfield is fairly stacked. Yeah, sorry, Stu, go on. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, the Kev does raise a very valid point with those three. And as you said, we probably did expect a bit too much from Minamino. Like, it's, if you look at like Robertson came in and Fabinho came in, they didn't play for 3 months.
Yeah.
Whereas, Minamino's coming in like the absolute peak of the season where there's games coming thick and fast. We're still in the FA Cup. We're looking to go on in the Champions League, and we can't, like, I know like the gap was so wide at the top, but we just didn't want to give City any sort of hope.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of, maybe he's been harshly judged on the few games he's played, but I saw enough when he played against us to see that there's definitely something there. So and Jones is similar to Grealish in a way, the way he plays. It's just a cockiness about him. And the game almost seems to slow down when he gets the ball. He kind of sees things that other players don't. Mm-hmm. So, and as you said, Grealish being English, that's got, you're probably talking about 70 million, and probably the same if you're looking at Maddison.
Yeah,
they're going to cost easily 70 million.
But the thing about Curtis Jones is, though, having a Scouser playing for his home team, it just, I know it shouldn't really make any difference, but it just makes it a little bit, I don't know, it just gives the player a little bit kind of extra oomph. Like, like Trent being the Scouser in the team, like, once let me put it this way, once they break into the team, they're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Stevie had his head torn, but if Curtis Jones was to turn out to be the next Steve McManaman, and Liverpool were still going places, he's not going to leave. All his mates, his family, you're from that you've grown up there. That's where. So it kind of boxes out. Like, let's be honest, Trent is not ever going to leave Liverpool. He's probably going to be future captain, and it just makes everything kind of a little bit rosier, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think if you see the way he played, when time everyone saw him was second half against Everton in the FA Cup, Jones just played with a swagger. Now, we all know the goal, of course, but he was class. He ran that midfield with Lallana, just looking for the ball everywhere, passing it everywhere. He was brilliant.
Yeah. And
I think they have really high hopes for him next season. But he was even playing a bit this season.
Yeah.
I think Minamino, got to love him. He hadn't got a screed of English. He was sitting beside Naby Keita, I believe, in the dressing room, but that lad was crocked. Wasn't helping either, So I'd say Minamino, I'd expect big things from him next season.
Right. Let's talk about the most divisive player in that midfield at the moment, Naby Keita. You forget how much money he came from. I think the fact that we signed them a year before he actually arrived didn't do him any good at all, because we spent basically a year just YouTubing him, and he looked, each video you watch, he's getting better and better. And then he got off to a good start. Injuries, I hate kind of giving a player a scapegoat of an excuse for injuries, but it does seem like he seems to get injured at the worst possible time, just when he's coming into some form. So, Kev, you've already said you believe he's not a lost cause, Keita. We should stick with him.
Because
just want to ask you though, how long should we wait though? Because it's not as if he's just in the door now. It's a year, it's a season and a half, and he's missed big games for when we've needed him. I mean, realistically, again, we have to take the coronavirus into effect, but let's say the season had to continue the way it was and he didn't leave much impression. At what point do you keep paying him that huge salary, the fee that we already paid? At what point do you kind of give up on him?
I'd say next season is the season he's got to do it, but you have to remember, people forget, I know we were hammered 3-0 away to Barca, but Klopp started, the season before, Klopp started him in the new camp.
And he was brilliant.
That was a big call. And he was brilliant, and he was broken up, and he had to go off because he was fleecing lads.
Yeah.
He did a step over, and who took him out? I forget who. Someone like basically broke him up, and he had to come off injured. So Klopp has faith in the man, 100%. Playing him like in Barcelona in the semi-final, obviously, of the Champions League. But you see, Wijnaldum's had the season of his life. Yeah. Henderson's had the season of his life. Fabinho, before his injury, was having the season of his life. It's competitive in there, Mm-hmm. Oxlade-Chamberlain obviously knocking on the door. I reckon next season's the season. If he doesn't, I'd say himself, he knows himself, if he doesn't get into the starting level regularly, he'll be probably hitting the road. But look, I love to go. I think he will come good. I hope he will.
Stewie, are you in the same camp?
No. No, it may sound harsh. Kev has. I've been listening to Kev talk about him for a good year before he even signed for us. And you know, as you say, like you can look at the YouTube clips and you do get excited. And I saw glimpses when he first appeared for us, and I was the same. I did get excited. You're kind of looking. You thought he was going to be, you know, no way he's going to be a replacement for Gerrard, but you needed that midfielder to give us the kind of drive, the burst going forward, someone that can make things happen if the games become just too passive. But I just haven't seen enough in the time he's been there, apart from the glimpses. Like there was the game against Bournemouth this season where he's nutmegging 2 guys in about 4 seconds, and it's like it's glorious. But then, you know, the injuries just keep coming, and you know what is there more to it? Like is it maybe is his diet, is his lifestyle of it? I don't know enough about that, but you have to question, why does he keep getting these injuries? And
but the thing is though, like there's certain midfielders where you've had a good look at them out, and you just think, I don't see it. But with Keita, I don't think anyone can argue there's a player in there. You know what I mean? I don't think I can see why they paid the fee. Like, I mean, Aquilani, for example, you know, you were just thinking, okay, he looks like a good player who could play in the Italian league where you've got all the time in the world, and you know, if you touch someone, you get, you know, it's a foul. But Keita, on paper, has it all. Like he loves to run at. That's the thing that I didn't know about him when he came. He loves to run straight up. I thought he was the kind of player that was in the making of Gerrard, where he just liked to get it and get rid of it and spray the passes. But he drives at players. He's got a good shot on him. He's got an eye for goal. He's not afraid of a tackle. I mean, Stewie, hypothetically speaking, if we were to offer roughly around the money we paid for him, if we were offered that, would you'd sell him?
Yeah, absolutely. If we got for the money we paid for him, I'd sell him, no problem. As Kev said, with like the 3 boys coming through in midfield, and then you list off who's there. Granted, we've got to get Wijnaldum signed to that new deal, but absolutely, I'd sell him to get close to what we paid for him. No problem at all.
Yeah. All right, so that's the midfielder. We're gonna talk about the strikers now, and let's talk with the lad who, I mean, I'd be amazed if he doesn't come, virus or no virus. But Timo Werner, there's so much talk about it. It just seems like it can't not happen at this stage. I have to say, I don't watch as much German football as I used to. So, Kev, what would he bring? Because that front 3 is so particular, and so they're like the Beatles. Like they bring, they're both very different at the same time, and they just bring this unique. You know, Salah is the guy, the talisman, and Firmino is just the unselfish player who, you know, does all the link work, does all the running off the ball, and Mane is just this player who's just direct, runs to the byline and cuts it back. What would Werner bring? Would he fit? Because Didi Aman has just said, I think last week, he doesn't see it. He doesn't see him fitting into Klopp's style. So what do you think?
If the rumours are true and Klopp loves him, I'm going with it. You know, Didi Hamann, obviously you respect him, you know what he's talking about. He knows German football. But if Klopp has been tracking this lad for years, he's obviously going to be good for the team. One thing he'd bring for the top 3 would be a break. Those 3 lads just play non-stop this season. And Firmino, everyone knows, we're in the middle of the season, hopefully, hasn't had the best of seasons. But they reckon he was just bollocks. Constant football. And not want to be too much championship manager here, but you hear lads saying you could just bring Firmino back, put one of the 2 boys up front, and then have Werner somewhere else, you know. They just need a break. You need some quality off the bench, and what we had was Origi.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough at times, you know. But your man Timo Werner, I've only ever seen him really in the Champions League, and then from those YouTube videos that we were watching for Naby Keita from the season before. He's a German international, and they are literally playing him in the German team. He's a class act. Against Spurs, he had a real swagger. I liked him against Spurs.
Yeah. I thought the whole team looked good that night. Stewie, where do you stand on Werner? Are you excited by this, or you think maybe because, you know, let's be honest, not, you know, we're not tooting our own horn here. We're the European champions, and if they let us finish this league. We're going to win the league. We can shop in the top bracket now. Are you excited by this, or do you think we can do a little bit better?
No, I'm of the same opinion as Kev. Like I'm excited by it. There's rumours that Liverpool have been watching them for close to 4-5 years, ever since kind of Klopp came in, that they kind of had this eye on this young German that was breaking through. I think was it Stuttgart he went to, or he came through Stuttgart's academy and before he went to Leipzig. And Liverpool do have they've got a good relationship with Leipzig as well. Leipzig as a club have this ability to bring in these gems, and they kind of sell it to them when they sign for them, that look, you can come in and you can become a star at this club before we let you go. And they will let their players go for reasonable fees as well to go on to bigger, like, you know, we saw it with Keita and then Mane before him. So I'm excited from what I've seen. Again, I'm the same as Kev. I've only really seen him from the Champions League, but anytime I've seen him, he has looked a class act.
Yeah.
And Kev makes the great point that what he brings as well is a break for the three boys up top, because God knows they need it.
And Kev, I mean, is this harsh on Origi though? Because he's won 2 kind of Merseyside derbies for us on his own. And, you know, I know you can say, well, you know, that goal that came bobbled off the bar, anyone could have put that in, but he took a chance. He was the only one that chased it in. You know, his performance against Barcelona, I honestly think that Trent corner goal is, the technique of his finish is not talked about enough. Yeah. And then, you know, with his wrong foot to smash it in to, you know, finish the Champions League final. Will he feel like a little bit hard done by? Because he's come a long way, you know, from, you know, he was basically given up on. He went off on loan, and I think he almost got relegated with Wolfsburg. And he's come back. He's come a long way to kind of, you know, basically fix his career. Is he hard done by for us to sell him, or should we keep him? Should we get rid of him? What do you think we should do with old Divock?
Well, he'll stay for next year, of course. I think he signed a new contract, wasn't it, at the start of last season? They reward him. But like, we all know what he is. He probably knows what he is as well. He's not a starter for the front three.
Yeah. And
from all word from Germany is that Timo Werner is, you know, the numbers don't lie. His stats, his goals scored over the last 2-3 seasons, should we say, have been phenomenal. He's a German international. Origi is what he is. He's the player, comes on, in fairness to him, you know, got the win against Newcastle late in this time. Was it 2 days ago last year?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had a season of his life last year, but we have to do better. We need more. We need more than that three. Now, I know you're probably going to go on to Sancho and the rest and talk about them, but yeah, Origi's good to have. Great player.
He's a victim of the quality of the front three, though, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. And he doesn't have the same quality as them.
All right. Well,
he's a victim of where he gets played as well. He often gets played on the left, and one thing you notice when the two boys, Robbo and Mane, are together, it's almost telepathic at times. I've seen it on a few occasions this season when Origi's come in. You can see Robertson is almost pointing for him. He's almost pointing where he wants him to go, and you know, that kind of split-second delay can kind of affect a move.
Yeah.
No end. Whereas Mane is just kind of, the minute Robertson gets the ball, Mane's gone. He knows what's going to happen. Yeah. So Origi is probably a little bit of a victim of the front three success.
And Kev mentioned Sancho, and I have to say, when I was living abroad, when I could watch the German league, the Dortmund were always the team I wanted to watch, because they are just so open, and it's never 0-0 with them. And Sancho, I have to say, really, I do hate the hype that gets built up around English players, but he seems, Stewie, like, he does seem like the real deal. He seems maybe even, if not more exciting, just as exciting as what Sterling. Because Sterling, you know, people forget how poor his finishing was at Liverpool. Still not even at the top level now. Like, he still doesn't score. You know, he just doesn't take as many chances as he should. But Sancho, you know, I think he plays the exact same position as Salah. You know, he's kind of a striker, but he stays out wide and he can even drop deep. And he would come for a hefty fee. Where would you stand on him? Because if we sign him, you're probably not signing Werner. What do you think of the rumours of Sancho? Is there anything in that?
I think there's probably something in it. I think even like interviews with Klopp, he's kind of, he'll talk about his admiration for him as much as he can. I don't know. There's talk of United. There's probably more in it if he's going to United. I do like the look of him. He's got a touch of class. He's very quick feet. And I admire the fact that he wasn't content to sit at Man City earning a nice chunk of wage. If you look at, like, say, Phil Foden, I don't think Phil Foden's ever going to play for Man City, despite the fact that Guardiola said he's better than Messi at that age. So, I admired the fact that he was happy to leave and go to a different country, which is it's unusual for a young English player like that to kind of up sticks and go to a different league to try it out. Yeah. And he's been a huge success for Dortmund, absolutely. Would I like him to sign for us? Yeah. But me personally, going on what you're hearing with fees, you're talking we can get Werner for 50 max, maybe, with that release clause, which is being extended out to July, I think now. I know there was a kind of panic where it had to be activated before April, but I believe everything that's gone on in the world has gone out to July now. Mm-hmm. So if I'm weighing it up, looking at the fees and kind of what both can bring to the team, I'd probably plump for Werner.
Okay. And Kev, you're literally looking at over double the price of Werner for Sancho. And there's a long history of English players who started off brightly, Joe Cole, Theo Walcott, who just didn't, Andy Carroll, Michael Ricketts even, and they just faded away. I mean, it's a lot of money to be spending on a lad who, might, if he comes for that money as well, even though he's young, he's got to come as the finished product, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he has to hit the ground running. But like the thing as well is, you can't forget. I said it before earlier on. We haven't spent any money in a year on any transfers. Yeah. You know what I mean? They haven't. Like, who did they bring in last summer? I think it was 4 million on some new player. But like
Vandenberg,
yeah. But you know what I mean? If this was a normal summer, you'd be thinking we are going big, and they even said themselves we're going to go big, and you thought they're going to go get a real marquee signing.
Right.
With just everything that's happening now, you wonder, where's the money going to come from? Are they going to spend the money? Like Sancho will obviously be a dream for a lot of people, but I think Timo Werner, a bit older, he's 24, he's a few more seasons behind him, he's a bit more proven, he's an international, wait to see Sancho go to United now and be an incredible player. We've probably been ruined by Solskjaer there anyway, but it's hard to tell, isn't it?
Well, listen, he is going to go. I mean, Dortmund, as great of a club as they are, they have got a ceiling there, and I'm just delighted that we're seeing now as, there was a time where, you look back at that Rodgers summer I mentioned where we were signing the likes of Victor Moses on loan, and, we're just trying to get bargains basically. And now we're talking about, in a minute we're going to talk about Mbappe just for shits and giggles, but Jadon Sancho, he is going to leave, and it does look like he's going to come back to England. So, it shows, like, this is between the two of these lads, it shows, like, how far we've come in 18 months, 2 years.
100%. So you see the lads like Rabiot, when he was, who were we playing last season, Champions League? The lads taking pictures of Anfield and putting up, like, wow, and all this kind of stuff. The whole world was watching us last season and this season. Everyone knows what we did this season. This season was the most incredible season. Yeah. We were going to beat the 100 points. We were going to beat the 100
points. We're going to be the earliest winners as well, weren't we?
Yeah, like we're still, like, what are we? We're 25 points. If we finish the season now, we're the most points you've won a league by ever. They were an incredible team this season. So no wonder you're mentioning the likes of Sancho and you're going to mention Mbappe. Mm-hmm. But, it's just, they're an incredible outfit.
So Stewie, in a sentence, Werner, 50 million potentially, or Jadon Sancho, 110, 120. Which one are you having?
I'm having Werner, and then 2 million worth of Weetabix then we can use out of that.
Nice
60
one.
million chunk.
All right, let's just talk about Mbappe, just for the sake of it. He looks like he's got Real Madrid written all over him. He's been a lifelong Real Madrid fan. I don't know if you've seen the photos of him as a kid, and his bedroom was just plastered with. It just goes to show how young he is as well. His room was plastered with posters of Ronaldo. And now, you talk about big fees. he would. I mean, you're potentially looking at a world record transfer. I mean, it could be 150 million more. Stewie, is it even worth sniffing there, or just let him go to Madrid?
It's worth sniffing, but as you said, it's going to be it is 100% going to be a world record fee. I don't think there's any hope of us spending that money, especially with the way the economy is looking. I can't see it, to be honest. It's a dream signing. It's an absolute dream signing. As Klopp said, he doesn't dream about the players he doesn't have. If he can get one in the future, he'd see. But I cannot see it. I just can't see it at all. Not for what you're going to.
It would shatter the wage structure as well, though, wouldn't it?
That's the problem.
Yeah. And Kev, I just wonder, like, he didn't stick around Monaco very long. I mean, understandably, he goes to Paris, and he's only been there a couple of years, and now he wants to go to Madrid. I mean, obviously, we would love to have him, but would it be a good idea, really? I mean, like I said, if he turns up and all of a sudden he's earning more money than Virgil and Mo, and he's already probably thinking of his next move 2 years down the line, is it even worth? Would it? I mean, if we could, would you still bring him? I mean, potentially what it could do to the squad.
No, of course you'd bring him for football reasons, but as you said there, the wages would be 300 grand, 350 grand. He'd be another Alexis Sanchez in the dressing room.
Yeah.
Everyone else just looking at him saying, who is this? Now, obviously, he's not Alexis Sanchez, he's a better footballer, obviously. But the wages just be...
Is he a better piano player, do I know? Does anyone know?
There's the question.
He can play Chinese chopsticks, and that's a starting base, right, lads? That's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, we don't know if Liverpool are going to sign anyone. They didn't sign anyone last year, and we don't even know if the market's when it's going to be open and who's going to be able. So that's pretty much all we can talk about. So, but what we usually do is we end with a quiz. We're not going to do it this time. What we're going to do this time. What we're going to do this time is I'm going to give you a player, and you tell me out of 10, overall, all things considered, was he a good signing for Liverpool? Was he worth the money? Was he worth the hassle? Was he worth the trouble? Was he a little bit unlucky? Was he underrated? Just tell me your thoughts about the player. So I'll start off with you, Stewie, first of all. This guy came for a lot of money, even then, for a right back. He was following up on two really popular right backs, on Finnan and Arbeloa. Glenn Johnson comes for 20 million, and probably wasn't the player we thought he'd be, but ultimately, where would you stand on Glenn Johnson?
So what are we talking? Marks out of 10?
Yeah.
7 maybe?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, if you could go back and you've got that 20 million to spend on a right back, would you have gone somewhere else? Or because I mean, he did have some great moments. Like the last minute winner at Stamford Bridge. He was part of the 13-14 season.
Yeah.
So I mean, what overall did he do himself justice, or do you think he never was the player that we thought we were getting?
Yeah, no, as you say, like I think I'm being fair with a 7. He was part of the 13-14 team. Who can forget that goal against Chelsea? I remember it, watching it in a bar in Copeepee, and
let me guess, slumped.
I wasn't slumped that time. No, I wasn't slumped. Which is probably one of the only times I haven't ended up slumped. But he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. Towards the end of his time at Liverpool, it's just like he bulked up too much in a way. I said it last week, he kind of looked like an upside down triangle at times, where he was just too top heavy. And
I know the fee. The fee wasn't his fault, but it's the most lopsided signing ever. We paid 20 million odd for a right back. It's not as if we had like 40 million centre backs and another 20 million left back. It was just the weirdest signing ever. Unless there's a big master plan there.
Well, Kev, for your player, we're going way back, and this guy, I was in love with him. I was in absolute love with this guy, and I was so excited. And he came with a big reputation. I think it was definitely the English record transfer at the time. I don't know if it was the world record transfer. Scored an absolute beauty on his debut. Stan Collymore.
Yeah, what was his price in the end?
8.5.
Yeah. Oh no, you can't. I'd say 8 out of 10 just for the Newcastle games alone. You can't. Stan Collymore. I know he's fucking got his problems now. God love him. Ulrika Johnson, all that shit a few years ago.
Well, for that, we'll give him 9.
What is that? I never heard of it. What happened there?
Good dogging.
But I know. Yeah, he was big deal when he signed. you'd have to give him. I'm going to be sitting the fence and say 7.
Well,
I'll give him an 8 just for the Newcastle goal.
I just wrote a piece today, and we're going to put up on our Facebook page about the 96-97 season, and I kind of saw he could have been the difference between Liverpool winning that league, because that year Berger was signed as a striker, which is mad to think of now, and he got off to a cracking start, but then we just basically realized this lad's not a striker. And Fowler was still, brilliant, but he was starting to get a few injury problems. So there was a lot of pressure on Collymore, and he just never turned up away from Anfield for the majority of the time. So I think ultimately he had everything as well. He was fast, he was strong, he could shoot with both feet. I think ultimately he was a little bit disappointed, especially the way he left. But anyway, all right, Stewie, Harry Kewell comes for like a tiny fee, if I remember. There was a big scandal about the transfer, but he ended up getting a huge salary. His agent got a ton of money. It was between him and Duff, and Kewell did genuinely seem like the better player. And it seemed like we had first dibs. Like we could just choose whatever, whichever one we wanted. But we went for Kewell. And you think of the coming off of the Istanbul final, but he did kind of come good the next year. But ultimately, where would you rate him as a Liverpool signing?
I'm gonna be probably excessively harsh and give him a 4.
Right, based on what?
He was like, I was so excited when we signed Harry Kewell. As you said, it was probably between him and Duff at the time. Hindsight shows us who the better signing would have been. I was delighted with the Harry Kewell signing. It just never happened. Like,
favorite Harry moment?
Probably when it was revealed he had gout, which, as I mentioned last week,
I thought you were going to say ponytail, but yeah, he has to say gout at least once on a podcast.
Yeah, it's just astounding for a professional footballer to get gout. I can't comprehend it.
The resentment in your voice is
so
just
a 4, a big 4. And no, sorry, my favorite Harry moment is the Eamon Dunphy summation of him after I can't remember what game it was. It was a Champions League game anyway, and Dunphy just called him a clown, a big fat clown for all to see.
It's not the Dunphy I love
now. that's probably at best sums up Liverpool for me. Yeah, a big fat 4.
All right, Kev, I need to give this lad his backstory because I feel so sorry for the lad. I think Liverpool lost the title because we got rid of him. I think he was treated like garbage, and I actually don't think his career at club level was ever the same. He came in at a time where there was a string of strikers that hadn't worked for Liverpool. Crouch had moved on. Varnon clearly wasn't good enough. And Nando was just getting more and more injuries. So we needed a proven striker. Robbie Keane comes in. And his statistics don't look good on paper. No one can deny that. But people forget, in that January where we got rid of him again, Liverpool were top of the league, so he was doing something right. We were through a pretty tricky Champions League group, including Atletico Madrid, and he certainly wasn't considering how much patience we showed with Crouch, who didn't score till December, and then to sell him on. I think we either made a small loss or it was roughly the same money. He was never really the same. Then he went to Spurs for a year and then kind of went off to Celtic in America and West Ham. Where do you stand on Robbie Keane? Because I think if Liverpool keep him, Nando still gets the injuries in the second half of the season. Liverpool are getting stupid draws against poor teams, and we're bringing on Nabil El-Zar and David Ngog. Where do you stand on Robbie Keane? Harshly treated, or he just was never good enough in the first place?
No, he was good enough. I think it was all politics, wasn't it? It wasn't a Benitez sign, I believe, and Benitez didn't want him from the word go. So the first opportunity he got, Benitez got rid in January, didn't he?
Yeah.
What was he, 20 million, 25 million? I remember everyone remembers the goal against Arsenal. Remember they were wearing the weird kit? It was grey.
Oh, it was gorgeous though, wasn't
it? They the home shorts and socks. And the away jersey. Yeah, it was like a throwback to the
ball drops over the shoulder.
That's an absolutely ridiculous goal.
Yeah. But he was really badly treated. And it was, I believe, it was in the dark days with Gillette and Hicks.
Yeah.
And it was a power struggle, I believe. But you're right. If we'd kept him after January, we probably would have won the league. I love Robbie Keane. He would, as Robbie said, it was a dream signing. And it was a fair steal.
Yeah.
It was a great sign.
But if you could turn back time, like 20 million, wasn't to be sneezed at back then in 08, I think it was. Do you think we should have gone for someone else then, or because United in that same summer, United signed Berbatov.
But everything about it made no sense. The signing came out of nowhere, but then selling him in January made absolutely no sense because you didn't replace him with anybody. It was just ridiculous. It was Benitez getting his way, and we all know what was going on behind the scenes there. It feels harsh to give the lad give him a 5 or a 6 out of 10 just because it never really got up and running. Right. But he was harshly treated, and he should have been given at least another 5 months.
Okay. And Stewie, this is a difficult one for you. I kind of pulled this one out of the back of the closet. He played 2 full seasons with Liverpool and won 5 trophies in total in 2 seasons, if you want to include the Charity Shield, but I will because we beat Man United to win it. And we had a pretty amazing defensive record, especially in his first season. And then he kind of left in really, not controversial standards, but some people say it was harsh. Sander Westerveld.
Sander, I'd probably give him a 5.
Right.
Yeah, I like, it's so long ago, but I can remember moments where he just used to drive me absolutely potty.
In terms of what?
He had the mistakes. He had that brain fart in him, and I think it's more to do with
Well, in fairness though, there was ice on the ball. Remember
that? yeah, that's true. But I think there was probably a good chunk of arrogance about him in a bad way. Which he kind of came in with a chip on his shoulder, and then when things started to go wrong, it just got progressively worse. I would be like you. I'd subscribe to the theory that it was more to do with the defense that was in front of him, because that was just as mean as it gets.
So you're giving him a 5?
I'm giving him a 5. Yeah.
Sorry,
Sander.
All right, we're not going to wrap this up in a minute. This next one, Kev, is, I don't want to hype it up too much, but I believe it's one of the most important bits of transfer in the last 20 years. He comes in with his career skyrocketing in the beginning, and then by the time he comes to us, his career is kind of at a crossroads, and he kind of, at times people were saying this is madness, but we got him on a 6-month loan. And I thought he was brilliant. It brought up a lot of controversy in our Liverpool WhatsApp group. And I think the problem was our strikers at the time were too good. We had Michael Owen, who just won the Ballon d'Or. Heskey was coming out. Heskey did a very particular job for Houllier. And then also you had Jari Litmanen. And Milan Baros was this up-and-coming Czech wonder kid. So the players, Nicholas and Elka.
Yeah, that's a good one. How long was he with Liverpool for?
He was only with us less than 6 months.
Yeah.
Scored in the Merseyside derby.
Yeah, but he was shit. He was quality. He was never good afterwards either, was he?
Oh no, we went to, who did he go for? The
Golden Boot with Chelsea, won the league with Chelsea.
He was brilliant with Bolton. That got him the move to Chelsea, didn't it?
Yeah.
So he went from us to Bolton.
No, City signed him.
He went to Man City, scored goals there. Let's not mention the Bolton era. But I mean, he had like a kind of an Indian summer at Chelsea, because at that stage he was pushing on 30 and did get the Golden Boot and won the league.
Yeah. And his penalty, remember his penalty in the Champions League final where he was just not arsed that he missed. But I love that, I have to say.
Let's not forget what he did against Ireland as well.
Yeah.
I'll be honest and say I don't see him in a Liverpool shirt. I can't remember him enough. So for me, he obviously didn't have an impact on me. What season was that in? Where was it? That
was 01-02, and then we decided not to sign him, and we sold Jari Litmanen and we signed El Hadji Diouf.
That must have been my heroin chic time or something. So
that's why I brought it up. It's kind of what I want to get into in the second half of the podcast, your heroin years.
I don't know. I can't remember him. So therefore, he didn't have an impact on me. Yeah.
All right. This is the last one, lads. And this is kind of a player of the very same ilk in terms of his reputation. I have very strong feelings about him. And he came to replace one of the greatest strikers the club has ever had, hands down. And he comes for a markdown fee, which the club should be ashamed of themselves. And so I'm trying to save money at a time where the club was on the way up again. Mario Balotelli.
Who's this to? Me?
Well,
Or
this
is
is
it
for
the
both of you,
both of us?
but bear in mind, he didn't start any of his antics. He wasn't letting fireworks off in his bathroom, and he wasn't, handing out money dressed as Santa and all this kind of stuff. In fairness, he kept his nose clean, and because I think he knew it
No,
was his last chance. But
I'll say Mario Balotelli was everything that was wrong with the last of Rodgers' tenure. It was just everything was wrong from the start. He wasn't meant to be there. He wasn't meant to be signed. It was just a miss. A miss. Only his goal against Spurs. He scored a winner against Spurs, didn't he?
Yeah.
yeah, literally his only Premiership goal.
Yeah, but I personally think it was just shocking signing, shocking player. Everything that was wrong with that summer.
But I think 12 years into his career now, I think the world has kind of learned that he was never really that good, though, was he, Stewie?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. When he was a youngster, it looked like he had all the talent in the world. But as you said, we're 12 years in now, and there always seems to be that manager that goes, "I can change it." But I think if Roberto Mancini can't change it, and he was the one that he was closest to, or Mourinho. Yeah, Mourinho talks about that time he asked him not to get sent off, and he goes and gets sent off within 2 minutes or something. But I agree with Kev. Yeah, he was a disastrous signing, and geez, I'd nearly rather he was letting fireworks off and throwing darts at people just for the crack, because there was no crack out of him, and he was.
The worst thing was as well, he's one of these strikers whose numbers have been kind of glossed over the amount of penalties he takes. And when he came to Liverpool, Gerrard was he's taking the penalties, mate. No ifs or buts. So he take penalties out of his game, and it's he's going to score one.
I was just going to say, remember he took one off Hendo in the Europa League as well. Gerrard was injured, wasn't he? And
that's right. But he did
score.
We
were talking about shopping in TK Maxx for some bargains. He was eager.
That was the scarf. Yeah, that was the scarf with the feathers on it.
But Liverpool sell Suarez for 60 or 70 million, whatever. And we go for Alexis Sanchez, who says, I want to go to London because my missus likes shopping. So Liverpool are thinking, well, we can't sign anyone. Oh, hang on a second. What about your man who seems to change his club every 20 minutes? I mean,
and Lambert came in as well. God love him.
And Fabio Borini was still hanging around, and Raheem Sterling was out now. Just ludicrous decisions. And I think Brendan Rodgers I think he's like a modern day Roy Evans. I think he brought some incredibly entertaining times, and he ultimately did a good job at Liverpool to a certain extent. But when it came to the crunch, where he had to make a decision about where to take the club to the next level, he completely shit his pants. So that's on that note. Let's end it there, lads. I always thank you. I'll thank you again. Thanks a million, Kev. Stormer of a day. Stewie, my name's not Chris. Stewie, you were an absolute star today. We're going to talk about Liverpool-Barcelona later on this week with a Barcelona fan, may I add. So hopefully that'll be a good one. And what can I say, lads? Before we go, actually, I want to ask both of you: what's your lockdown tip of the week in terms of alcohol deals?
Oh, me, I've got to go. I'm a cider man, as you know, so I am. I've been doing the rounds. I've been going to Lidl to get my 1.99 strawberry and lime, and it's just as good as Kopparberg for me. The other Swedish ciders are available, but the Lidl strawberry and lime cider is an absolute gem. So I would say get yourselves to Lidl if you're into the cider.
And there you have it, folks. The gayest heterosexual since David Williams. And Kev Curran, your alcohol tip of the week.
Well, it's not Stella Artois. Anyway, made a mistake on that a few weeks ago when I was sick. So it's just a simple 6 cans of, I think it was Beck's for a tenner. 6 cans of, I can't remember the beer. I've tried so many different ones in the cost cutter around the corner.
Right,
not like Stewie. Don't travel to another town for me beers, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be traveling.
He's got an electronic tag on his ankle. He can't go anywhere. I've got the 660ml Orchard Thieves, 5 for a tenner.
Whoa! 5 for a tenner. Where?
Absolutely stunning. Centra have outdone themselves once again, and they will be seeing my notes in the near future for more. It's an absolute cracking deal. I'm actually now gonna check the expiration date just to make sure there's just to make sure that there isn't a reason I'm getting these for ridiculous prices. No, they are in date. So there you have it, folks. It's cider all around except for Mr. Ooh La La with a Stella Artois. So we're going to leave it there. Lads, thanks a million again. Hopefully this record, and we'll see you next time.